We are more stimulated than ever, and somehow moving in no direction at all. We wake up connected, surrounded by information, opinions, movement, and convince ourselves that this is constant activity is progress. Attention is everywhere, focus is nowhere. Everything competes to be noticed. Very little deserves to be remembered.
Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
Most days feel full, yet strangely hollow, as if motion itself has replaced direction, as if reacting has become a substitute for building. And in a war like this, obsession doesn't fit. It asks for things modern life quietly discourages. Isolation, repetition, the patience to sit with one idea long after it stopped being exciting. It requires the willingness to remove everything that isn't essential, even when that means removing people. Obsessed people aren't chasing more, they are narrowing down. They choose one direction and allow everything else to fall away. That's why their lives never look balanced. From the outside they can seem empty, extreme, unhealthy, but if you look closer, they also look intentional. Watching Marty Supreme, it's hard not to feel a strange mix of admiration and discomfort. Not because the character is likable, not because the story is reassuring, but because of the commitment it portrays, the tunnel vision, the confidence that borders on desperation. What's unsettling isn't what he wants, it's how little room there is in his life for anything else. The way everything else begins to collapse, once the goal becomes the only thing that matters. What stays with you after the film ends isn't the plot, but a realization that what separates something that feels impossible from something that eventually happens is often just the ability to lock in without breaking. The film doesn't hide the cost. Relationships fracture, life turns chaotic, stability disappears. Beneath all of that, there's a quiet certainty running through every decision, the belief that winning isn't a matter of if, only when. That certainty doesn't come from balance, it comes from obsession. What makes stories like that uncomfortable isn't how extreme they are, it's how familiar they feel. Uncomfortable because they force a question most people avoid asking themselves, because the pattern doesn't belong to one character, one film, or one personality type. You see it whenever obsession is allowed to run its course, in the sports, in art, in people who disappear for years and return unrecognizable. Different worlds, different outcomes, the same underlying structure. Once the goal becomes clear enough, everything else starts competing with it. And obsession is what decides what stays and what gets cut. The real struggle most people face isn't a lack of ambition. It's that ambition exists alongside too many other things at the same time. Attention gets fragmented by options, notifications, expectations, and comfort. Not because people are weak, but because the world is designed to reward responsiveness over commitment. Everyone is reacting, and very few are building. Obsession changes that by doing something that initially feels restrictive. It removes options. Obsession isn't intensity, it's selectivity. It turns the world into a narrow place, where fewer things are allowed to matter, where repetition stops being a flaw and becomes a requirement. The same work revisited again and again and again and again. The same movements refined instead of replaced, not because repetition is exciting, but because depth only appears once novelty disappears. Clarity doesn't arrive before the work begins, it shows up inside the work. After enough time has passed for patterns to reveal themselves. That's why obsession feels different from the inside than it looks from the outside. What appears extreme or imbalanced to others often feels stabilizing to the persons inside it. Less noise, fewer decisions, a single direction that doesn't shift every time the world does. That kind of focus doesn't come without a price. Obsession demands more than effort. It demands time that can't be recovered and the willingness to disappoint people who expect you to be more available, more flexible, more normal. Relationships strain under repetition. Balance disappears. Life outside the work begins to feel distant. From the outside it can look like a self-destruction, and sometimes parts of it are. But what rarely gets acknowledged is the alternative. For people wired this way, the absence of obsession doesn't lead to peace. It leads to drift, confusion, the slow erosion of identity. The cost isn't something obsessed people are unaware of, it's something they accept because the weight of not committing fully often feels heavier. You see it in athletes training long before anyone is watching, not chasing applause but trying to eliminate uncertainty. In artists who disappears from public view for years, narrowing their world until only the work remains. Even in the fictional characters written around a single rule or a mission, where obsession isn't portrayed as a madness but as the only force capable of imposing order on chaos. Different paths, different stakes, the same trade every time. Less freedom in exchange for death, less balance in exchange for direction. Obsession isn't meant to be comfortable, and it isn't meant for everyone. But in a world that constantly pulls attention apart and mistakes stimulation for progress, it remains one of the few forces strong enough to hold focus in place. For some, peace comes from slowing down. For others, it comes from narrowing and so completely that doubt no longer has room to breathe. This isn't advice, it's an observation. Obsession over peace.